Hey there, Mercedes here from PrettyWebz.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a swirled text effect inside of Photoshop. So let's get started. So the most important thing is that you have a lot of contrast between your colors. So right here I'm using some monotone colors, but you don't have to use these specific colors, or they don't have to be monotone. So right here I'm using a contrast from light to dark. I'm going to open a new file. So we'll go to File up here and go to New. I'm going to start with a 3600 by 3600 pixel document. We're going to leave our resolution at 300 because we might want to use this for something else. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Create. Our actual text effect is not going to be this size, but I want to do the pattern bigger than I'm going to do my text effect. This dimension 3600 by 3600 will give you a 12 by 12 printed sheet. So I am going to go ahead and set up my colors first. We'll start with the background color. The first color is going to be 566B7F. This is our background color. It's like a dusty blue color. And then our foreground color is going to be B9E6FB. So it's a very light blue color. It's like a baby blue. So you can see the contrast in these. Even though they're both blue, you have a lot of contrast between the light and the dark. I'm going to go ahead and unlock the background layer by clicking on that little lock icon there. Right click, and I'm going to convert this to a smart object. So we're going to come up here with this layer selected, come up to Filter, Render, and we're going to render cloud. And then again, we're going to come up to Filter. This time we're going to go to Distort, and we're going to use Twirl. So for our twirl, we're going to bring it all the way up to the max. You can also take it the other direction and go all the way to, -999. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and then I'm going to have something that looks like this. Now let me zoom out a little bit. So I'm going to press the letter V to bring up my anchors. I don't want this section right here. I only want the middle section. And this is kind of hard to see because it is a smart object, so it's basically blank. But I'm just going to bring it out as much as I can. Okay, so this is what we're going to work with as far as our pattern goes. I'm just going to add a little more contrast to that. So I'm going to come down here to the bottom and I'm going to choose curves. For the curves, you can either just come here and do a strong contrast, or you can set it up yourself. So I'm going to bring down my shadows, which is down here, and I'm going to bring up my highlights. I'm going to try to follow this curve as much as I can. Okay, so basically just an S curve like this, or like I said before, you can just come here and choose strong contrast. So this is before, and then this is after. You can see we have a lot of contrast. Okay, I'm going to make sure I have this layer selected, and I'm going to come up here to Edit, Define Pattern, and I'll just call this Swirl. We don't need this anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm not even going to save it. Now I'm going to come up here, File, New. Okay, this time I'm going to make a document that is 1280 wide by 720. Basically a 16 by 9 ratio. We'll go ahead and leave it at 300. That's fine. And I'm going to click Create. So this is our blank canvas. From here, I'm going to use these two colors here to create a gradient. So I'm just going to come here to my gradient tool. I'm using foreground to background right here. And I'm just going to make this basic spotlight effect. So that's pretty much it for our background. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a text layer. And this text is going to just say Swirl. Let me show you the text that I am using. So this font is called Lust Script. It's from Adobe Font, so you can just grab it there if you have Photoshop CC. And I'm going to change this to about, I don't know, 380 pixels. We'll see how big that is. Yeah, that will be fine. And I'm just going to customize my letters a little bit. So I'm just going to select this letter L, and I'm going to choose this one right here. And the color doesn't really matter. It's basically giving me this foreground color anyway. It doesn't matter because we're going to be adding some layer effects next. Okay, so now we're going to double click right here on the far right hand side. We're going to bring up our layer styles and start working with those. So the first one we're going to work with is this right here, the bevel and emboss. And our settings here are going to be inner bevel. We want smooth for our technique. Our depth is going to be 100. Our direction is up. Size is going to be 10 pixels. Soften is 0. We're going to leave our angle at 120, altitude at 30, and our gloss contour is going to be peaks. So come through here and then choose this one that's called peaks. Our highlight mode is screen and our color is white. Shadow mode is going to be multiply and our color is going to be black. We'll click OK and this is going to be 50%. Okay, next we're going to add an inner shadow, and that's not showing up here, so I'm going to come here to this little icon, this little drop down menu, and choose inner shadow. For our inner shadow, the settings are going to be multiply. We have just basic black here, opacity 35%, angle is going to be 120. Our distance is going to be 30 pixels. Choke 0. Size 10 pixels, and we're going to leave that basic linear contour. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our pattern overlay. So we just created this pattern right here. That's the pattern that we're going to be using. And I'm going to bring this down to 50% and just move it around a little bit. So I'd like it to be closer to that center. I think you get a lot more variation there. Next, I'm just going to add like a floating effect. We're going to use drop shadows to do that. So I'm going to click here and choose drop shadow. Okay, our setting for the first drop shadow, we're going to do a series of 3 of these. So for the first one, our settings are going to be blend mode multiply, basic black, opacity 30 pixels, angle 120, distance is 15. Spread is 0, size is going to be 25, and we're using basic linear contour for that. Now we're going to click on the little plus icon to add another, and this is going to be the second. So we're going to choose the very last one, and blend mode multiply, color black, opacity 45, angle 120, distance 25, size 35. And you can see how these are gradually getting bigger. So we're just kind of, giving it a little distance from the background. And again, that linear contour. Now we're going to go ahead and press the plus sign. I'm going to choose the very last drop shadow. So right now there's a total of 3 here. And we'll set this one up, this last one. So the blend mode for that is going to be multiply. Opacity is going to be 60%. Distance is going to be 35. Our spread is 0, size 45. So you can see I've gone up in increments of 10 on this. Now, if you wanted to save this layer style to, reuse on other text, you can just come here to New Layer Style, name it, save it, click OK. So I'm going to go ahead and move these over here. These are all going to go into that marble swirl category. What you could do if you wanted maybe to sell something like this, not this, specifically, but if you wanted to create your own colors or, create a text effect like this with styles for sale, what you could do is grab all of these. So I'm going to hold down my command key and then just click on all the ones that I want to save. Okay, when I have all of those selected, I can right click and choose Export Selected Styles. From here, all I have to do is name my styles. So I want to call these swirl styles and then just save them. And now I have those available for myself if I want to keep them outside of Photoshop just in case I do an update or I just feel like I'm going to lose them. I will always have those, or I could create a custom set and put them up for sale in, say, an Etsy shop, Creative Market, or something like that. But having layer styles like this just enhances your workflow anyway, especially if you're working on a specific project where you're using a lot of the same style, then this will save you a lot of time to do that. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Visit PrettyWebz.com for more design resources and tutorials. Until next time, thanks for watching.